You ever wonder why you feel disconnected in a crowd? Why every party, every casual gathering leaves you cold inside? You try to care about the gossip, the small talk, the latest trivial trend everyone is excited about. But you can't. It all feels so pointless, so painfully shallow. It's as if you speak a different language, while others laugh and bond over nothing. You're silently asking, is this it? Is this what people call a life? You feel the emptiness of these moments and start doubting yourself. They seem happy with so little. Why can't you be the same? Nothing is wrong with you. In fact, something is profoundly right. One of history's sharpest minds, Arthur Schopenhauer, observed this exact phenomenon. He said, "A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial." Not as an insult, but as a simple truth about those who think deeply. Think about that. The more intelligent you are, the less you thrive in the ordinary social scene. Why? Because most of society runs on superficiality, petty impulses, meaningless chatter. If your mind hungers for substance, you starve in those settings. You sit there, surrounded by noise, and feel utterly alone in thought. Schopenhauer saw the world of common society as a place of trivial pursuits. People chase pleasures and distractions like children chasing fireflies. But the deeper your mind, the more you see the darkness beyond the flicker. You can't unsee it. The party smiles and busy talk can't cover up the void you perceive. So you withdraw. Maybe at first you forced yourself to join in, to not seem strange. You went out, you played the game, you said the things you were supposed to say. And each time, you felt like an actor wearing someone else's skin. The mask suffocated you, so you began to slip away. Solitude became your refuge. At least when you're alone, you don't have to fake it. You can let your mind wander to the real questions, the ideas that actually interest you. No need to dumb yourself down or bottle yourself up. Alone, you can breathe. Alone, you feel more alive than among people. Society doesn't understand. It sees you alone and assumes something is wrong. Loners are labeled as sad, arrogant, or broken. But Schopenhauer knew better. He argued that if you're content in solitude, it's because you have inner wealth. For the more a man has in himself, the less he will need from others. Your very self is enough company. Most people can't say that. They dread being alone, because without the noise of others, they have to face themselves, and they don't like what they find. Their minds are empty or chaotic, filled only with what society poured in, so they cling to social life like a life raft, terrified of their own silence. But you, maybe you are different. You've spent nights in quiet contemplation. You've learned to enjoy your own company. Yes, sometimes it's painful when the silence lets doubts or fears surface, but you don't run from it. You're strong enough to face your own mind, where others distract themselves to avoid ever doing so. Understand this. Society programs people to think that needing others is always a virtue, and not needing others is a problem. From childhood, you were told that being popular, being liked by everyone, is the ultimate goal. That if you are not constantly social, something must be wrong. This is deep conditioning, and it is deeply flawed. Why do they push that narrative? Because a person who needs the approval of the group is easy to control. If you fear being the outcast, you'll conform to whatever nonsense the group is doing. You'll laugh when they laugh, nod when they nod, just to belong. You become yet another obedient member of the herd. Schopenhauer was brutally honest about this. He noted that most people are so intellectually bland that 100 of them together don't add up to one interesting mind. 100 fools together will not make one wise man equipped. Quantity doesn't produce quality. Crowds don't produce wisdom. If anything, they dilute it. Look at modern society. Look at social media. 100,000 people echoing the same shallow trends, trying so hard to be seen, to be validated. All of them together still can't create a single original thought. Hive mind, herd mentality. As an intelligent individual, you see this, and it only pushes you further away. It's frustrating, isn't it? You log on or walk outside and see people playing this ridiculous game, posturing, performing, applauding each other for nothing. They chase attention like it's oxygen. Meanwhile, you're gasping for meaning. You'd rather have one real conversation about something that matters than 1,000 likes on a pointless photo. The world is louder than ever, and yet emptier than ever too. So much noise, so little substance. And the louder the noise, the harder it becomes to hear your own thoughts. Perhaps that's the point, to drown you out. But you refuse to be drowned. That's why you step back. That's why you often choose silence over meaningless chatter. You don't hate people. You hate superficiality. You crave authenticity and rarely find it in the crowd. How often have you tried to bring up something profound, only to be met with blank stares or awkward silence? The weather, sports, gossip, those are fine. But mention the meaning of life or the insanity of society's rules, and suddenly you're the buzzkill. So you learn to keep quiet around them. You learn that it's pointless. They don't want to wake up. They just want to keep dreaming together. And you refuse to pretend to be asleep. That's the incompatibility of high intelligence and social conformity in action. You won't lower your voice just to sing along with the chorus out of tune. Sometimes your solitude feels like exile. You watch others find easy camaraderie and you feel a pang of longing. Why can't I just be like them, happy with the shallow comforts? You might even try again, reach out, go to that gathering, force a smile, hoping this time it will be different. But it never is it? 10 minutes in and you feel more alone than when you're actually alone, surrounded by people, yet utterly unseen and unknown. It's a strange kind of loneliness, being alien among those who call themselves friends. Eventually you slip away, either physically or mentally, back into your own world, where things at least make sense. That feeling, that profound disconnection in the midst of socializing, is telling you something important. It's proof that your nature isn't meant to dilute itself in mass company. Your time, your attention, are too precious to waste on things you find meaningless. Deep down, you know that, but maybe you haven't fully accepted it yet. Maybe you still judge yourself for it. You see a solitary life and sometimes label it as failure, especially when the world bombards you with images of togetherness, smiling groups of people, happy couples, team players celebrated as heroes. You wonder if you're missing out, if you're flawed for not enjoying what they all seem to love. Let's shatter that illusion. What you think you're missing isn't as great as it looks. Much of it is performance. Social media is a stage where everyone exaggerates how great their social life is. Those lifelong friends might barely even like each other behind the scenes. And those party photos don't show the anxiety and emptiness beneath the smiles. People cling to others, not just out of love or joy, but out of fear. Fear of being alone with their thoughts, and fear they don't matter unless someone is watching. It's like a constant audition for approval. They perform, hoping to be liked, to feel important for a fleeting moment. Is that truly living? Or is it just a more crowded form of dying? You see through this. The desperation beneath the smiles jump out at you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It makes it hard to enjoy what others call fun, because you can't join the dance when you hear the distortion in the music. This clarity you have is a gift, but it comes with a burden. It isolates you. There is truth in the saying, "In much wisdom is much grief." The more you understand, the more you perceive the cracks in everything, and it can hurt. Ignorance truly can be bliss, but you don't have that luxury, do you? No, you were cursed and blessed with the eyes that see too much. You spot the hypocrisies, the lies people tell themselves. You see the puppet strings of social conventions that others never question. Yes, it can make you sad, even depressed at times. You wonder why you had to be the one to see through the happy illusions. But consider the alternative. Would you really want to go back? To be blind to truth just so you could fit in? You know you can't do that to yourself. It would be a kind of living death, smiling on the outside while your mind shrivels on the inside. You can't unknow what you know, and you shouldn't want to. The price of clarity is isolation sometimes, but the reward is freedom. Freedom from the games others play. You can't easily be manipulated by peer pressure or swept up in collective hysteria, while they jump off bridges because everyone is doing it. You stand safe on the shore, thinking for yourself. That independence is powerful. If tomorrow you found yourself completely alone, without a single person to approve of you, would you still matter? You know you would. Your value isn't given by the crowd. It's inherent. Most people can't say the same. They only feel as good as the compliments they get or the number of followers they have. You're building something different, a self that isn't at the mercy of the world's approval. It's hard work and it can be lonely work, but it's worth it. Every day you spend in honesty with yourself, following your own path instead of the parade, you grow more into who you're meant to be. Authentic, uncompromised, strong. One lie you may believe is that your solitude means you failed. That if you were likable and normal, you'd have a busy social life. That is nonsense. Some of the greatest individuals walked alone, not because they were broken, but because they refused to break themselves to fit in where they didn't belong. Schopenhauer compared such individuals to eagles. Great men are like eagles and build their nest on some lofty solitude. The eagle isn't lonely up there, it's where it's meant to be. From that height, it can see clearly, it can think, it can be at peace. Down in the flock of chickens, it would wither. So ask yourself, are you an eagle trying to live among chickens? How long will you clip your wings to fit in? Why do you keep pretending that the ground is where you belong, when every part of you yearns to stretch out and soar? These are uncomfortable questions, but necessary ones. Every time you deny your nature just to feel the comfort of inclusion, you betray yourself. It's a quiet self-betrayal, one that eats at you. You know exactly what I mean. You've laughed when nothing was funny, agreed when you really disagreed, smiled when you felt like screaming, all to avoid sticking out, to avoid standing alone. But what has that brought you? Momentary relief? Perhaps. Acceptance for a minute, and then the crushing realization that they still don't know you at all. They accepted an act, not you. If you spend your time wearing a mask, don't be surprised when no one truly sees your face. It's time to stop lying to yourself, that you can be true to yourself and universally liked. You won't be. The truth is polarizing. Depth is disturbing to the shallow. If you speak your mind, if you live authentically, some will walk away. Maybe many. That has to be okay. Their leaving makes space for the few worth holding on to. If no one comes, if you stand completely alone in your truth, would that be the worst thing? Loneliness can be painful, yes, but regret is far worse. A life wasted trying to please others. At least in solitude, you hear yourself think and live on your own terms. And that is not nothing. That is everything. Picture yourself in your final moments, looking back on life. Would you be proud that you fit in with the crowd? That you spent years ensuring you bothered no one, stood out in no way? Or would you rather say, at least I lived as myself. At least I did what I thought was right, even if I walked alone. This is not a call to hate humanity or to isolate yourself out of bitterness. It's about priorities and honesty. If a connection truly brings you joy or stimulates your mind, by all means cherish it. But stop forcing connections that don't. Stop apologizing for being different. The friends worth having will embrace you as you are, or not at all. We live in a world that glorifies popularity, but popularity is just consensus, and consensus is often just mediocrity. It's easy to be popular. Just say nothing original, laugh at every joke, agree with every opinion, smooth out every sharp edge of your personality. Do that, and you'll have plenty of shallow friends, but you will hate yourself in the process. I suspect you'd rather be hated for what you are than loved for what you are not. And yes, there is a chance you will be hated, or at least misunderstood. People fear what they don't understand. They might project their insecurities onto you, call you arrogant or aloof, simply because you won't join their masquerade. Remember this when you feel that sting of rejection. Their rejection of you might just be a rejection of the mirror you held up to them. By standing apart, by not needing them, you remind them of their own dependency and conformity. Not everyone will thank you. Some will despise you. That too is part of the cost of authenticity. Yet authenticity remains the only way to truly live. A life of pretense is a life in chains. What's the point of social acceptance if you must shackle your soul to get it? Better to walk free and alone than march in lockstep with the unthinking masses. Every step you take alone is worth 10 taken in company under duress. By now, you might feel a mix of vindication and fear. Vindication that you were never crazy for feeling how you feel. Schopenhauer and others would agree that solitude is often the path of the mind that refuses to sell out. But fear too. Fear of a life with fewer friends, maybe no friends at times. Fear of being an outsider forever. An outsider is simply someone who refuses to be defined by the group. That isn't weakness, it's strength. It means you have an identity beyond what society hands you. Yes, it can be lonely on the perimeter, but that's where growth happens. The core of society seldom changes. Real progress comes from the fringes, from individuals with vision. When you embrace solitude, you are not retreating. You're advancing inward. You are diving deeper into your own life, your own mind, exploring the richness there. Think of the great creators and thinkers who did their greatest work alone, undistracted by the meaningless. They weren't out partying. They were cultivating thought, honing their craft, listening to the whispers of their soul. Solitude is power. Solitude is a chance to see without the distortion of the crowd's lens. It's in solitude that you can finally hear the subtle truths that get drowned out in a group. In solitude, you can make up your own mind, find your own path. It is not a punishment, it is a privilege if you use it well. By standing apart, you give yourself the space to grow into exactly who you're meant to be. And, ironically, that's when the right people tend to show up, when you're no longer desperate for company, when you stand confidently alone. Your authenticity might scare off the phonies, but it will magnetize kindred spirits. Even eagles find a mate to soar with, eventually. So do not fear solitude. Wear it like armor, wield it like a sword. Let it sharpen your mind and steel your soul. The world may never understand why you step away, but it doesn't need to. It isn't living your life. You are. You are not alone in being alone. Your solitude, far from weakening you, is your strength. Embrace it and soar.